gotta say, man, I'm pretty blessed to only have to do quarantine twice in the last year.
Yeah, but are you doing it in a nice location like you were last time?
No.
No, not at all.
No, I'm
Sucks
not.
where I'm at.
I'm back down in Norfolk. I started my quarantine on Saturday for another 2 weeks. My orders kicked off on Friday. Start the countdown. Ooh, Billy, we should put a countdown up. 365 days plus or minus for this set of orders.
As of when?
Friday the 9th.
Friday the 9th. So okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got
all
2
right.
weeks here doing a quarantine. Although at least the weather's nice because the weather in Maine it's actually not that bad. We had a fire Friday night.
That's good. That's good.
Randomly, Thursday it could be 30 degrees. So there are no rules. And then yeah.
You're quarantined for 2 weeks, and then what happens then?
So since I'm in the reserve, I have to do this transition period where they turn all my accounts from reserve to active duty, which takes about a week. And then I have to go spend some time down at Fort Jackson with the Army doing
God knows
I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, shooting guns, presumably, because I'm not going to Mississippi and I still have to qualify my rifle and pistol. So presumably there will be some expeditionary combat training for a couple weeks down there. And then I fly off to Africa, to the motherland. I don't know exactly what date.
You're so shit to the motherland. It's so stupid. I hate you for saying
Cradle of civilization, Billy. Cradle of civilization. Get on board.
It is. Oh, yeah. It's so stupid. Yeah. It's such a shithole in Djibouti.
Shut the fuck up, man. I was able to talk to my relief recently, and I cried a little bit because it's that time in my career where I have to transition from laborious bitch to supervisor. So
it's tough. It's tough that transition.
Man.
It's like a culture shock because I remember that too. We were, you were bringing this up in the green room. Is when I made E6, it was like they pulled you in. They're like, okay, look, you can't go out on patrols. You can't do this. You have to stay in the office. You have to do this. I'm not staying in the fucking office. Like, get the.
My last deployment, I was the LPO, but there was still work that I got to do. I still got to go out and work in the shop, and I got to be hands-on with the team. And then on my last AT, I was building fighting positions, and I was still sitting fire watch in the pits. And I did some briefings here and there, but it was like a 50-50. But this time around, my relief, I was trying to ask him, like, is there anything I should bring, anything specialty-wise, like any tools maybe you don't have, or like maybe some reference manuals or whatever? He literally said, if you have a favorite clipboard, you can bring that. So
wow. My heart would just sink. My heart would just go, you said why?
There should be we have a lot of traditions in the military that some are better than others, but I think there should be a funeral for your tool bag when you get assigned that first position where you're not going to be working. Like, that's not your direct assignment anymore. If you work, it's because you chose to, but your assignment is administrative and paperwork wise.
It's almost the same concept as like a player hanging up the cleats and transitioning to a coaching position.
Yeah,
it's like
the E3 that makes E4, so they turn over the beer pong table in the barracks.
Yeah, it's just like
something similar.
Man. Just carry it on. Yeah. Third floor beer pong tables, all you, bro. Like,
yep. So the next 3 episodes will be here, and then Billy, you live in one of those Carolinas, right?
Yeah, I live in the northern one.
The northern one, yeah. Well, so my understanding is I'm not very far from you, so I'm inclined to think you should be driving down, and we should do a dual episode together somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely happening.
No, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We got time.
We got time. So listen, man, tonight's guest I'm really excited about because there are not a lot of times in this world where I run into somebody who's served in my community that I didn't already know. Tonight's guest, Andi Ward, was a CB with NMCB 3, if I remember correctly, for a few years. Has deployed both to Iraq and Africa, both places that I have been to myself. But it's always interesting getting to talk to another CB from the active duty side because there's such a butting heads rivalry between the reserve and the active duty. And it was nice that we just got along immediately because most of the time when the active duty folks see me, they're like, fucking reservist, which I get. Because in a year when they're angry and want to go and just want some leave, I get to go home and end my orders, go back to being a civilian, and grow this beautiful face mane that I cultivate myself. But that's neither here nor there.
Did you say face mane that I cultivate? You know what? That doesn't even surprise me.
Keep going. It's natural, if you can believe it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So anyways, Andi works for a wonderful organization called Merging Vets and Players, which pairs former military service members with retired professional athletes. I was able to link up with her as I was up late at night, not sleeping due to the insomnia, scrolling through Instagram and Facebook, trying to find new organizations to bring on the show. We're very excited to have her here. Billy, if you wouldn't mind, please bringing her in from the green room. You have to excuse her because she's all the way out there in California. Listen, veterans have their opinions about California. Let's go ahead and leave them at the door because that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. Andi, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
So, Andi, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved with the military and, what your time was like on active duty? Because you might honestly be one of the first active duty personnel I've talked to who has not spent any time in the Far East, which I find to be a huge shocker in itself.
Okay. Maybe that has to do with the fact that I was in for 3 years. Let's see. Also, just a heads up, my Wi-Fi is not the greatest, so if there's a little bit of lag.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. I apologize. I told Andi I would mention this, and I forgot it. So because the three of us are in different locations, we're dealing with some lag issues. So there might be some silent parts of the show tonight, and that's just the internet catching up. You can blame literally anybody. I don't know who provides the internet.
We'll just blame it on Steve Jobs. It's blame it on Steve Jobs.
It's just because you needed a new laptop, Billy. So, Andi, go ahead.
So, all right. So, I'm Andi Ward. I am the training and resource director for Merging Vets and Players. A little bit about me. I grew up in Nebraska. So that's a great reason to want to join the military. My main goal is to get out of Nebraska. And it worked. I have 7 brothers and sisters, 5 brothers and 2 sisters. I joined the military after about a year of college. And I just wanted to do something with my life. I was drinking a lot, going to school, working full time, and it just wasn't challenging enough. And I actually wanted to be a cop, and I kept getting minor in possession drinking tickets, and I was like, this career is not going to work out for me. So I joined the military. And so actually my recruiter was awesome. He, a lot of people can't say that, but he was like, you know what? I'm going to put you with the Seabees. You're going to fit right in. You're going to love these guys. And I sure did. So yeah, I was, so I joined, well, this is kind of funny. I first went to the Air Force office, and I was going to be an MP. And then I came in one day and was like, I got another drinking ticket. And the recruiter was like, well, I can't take you anymore, but I can walk you down next door to the Navy office and they'll take you.
I love that.
That's how I joined the Navy.
I love that the Air Force recruiter was just like, you got a drinking thing going on. The Navy will definitely take you for that.
I love how the Navy recruiter was like, oh, how many? Listen, let me introduce you to this little group of bastards right here. They're called the Seabees. They essentially invented the alcohol problem that we are fighting currently.
They actually talk about drinking in their song. It's going to be great for you.
It was like a match made in heaven, honestly. So you're down there bonding with your recruiter, which something no sailor has ever done.
Yes. So yeah, 2 weeks later, I was in Great Lake, Chicago. Yeah, did the whole boot camp thing. I went to school in Texas, and I really joined the military because I wanted a different life. I grew up pretty poor, so the college and the healthcare was really that's what I wanted as well. And then I wanted a team like that had my back. I had a difficult childhood, And so I felt like I kind of raised my siblings, and I felt like I was doing it alone all the time. And I wanted to do it with other people and to be able to, pour myself into something and, be given this team that would support me. And in A school, I was raped by like a few of my friends. And that really kind of sent everything crashing down. This idea that the military was a team that would have my back kind of went out the window. And so it was just like, okay, this is more of the same. All right, that's fine. I'll still get through this. And, I loved the CBs. I loved the fitness. I loved being an electrician because nobody ever tells you what to do because they have no idea what your job is. So it was great. I'd have like high-ranking people come up and be like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I was like, "Yes, of course I do." And they had no idea if I was wiring up correct or not. So yeah, I loved my I loved being in the military. I loved challenging myself, and that every day you can go out and just you do things that you never thought possible. So, every day you're just, your confidence is building. And that's what really drew me to it. I continue to have drinking problems, not shockingly. I like to blame it on my red hair because all the CBs drink and all the CBs party. But if anything happened, they were just like, "Oh yeah, it was that redhead." And there was only 2 of us. And it was always me. So that really didn't work out well for me.
Yeah. That makes sense. The only time that I think that I've never been able to tell somebody, I think you're lying, is when I'm talking to the electrician, because I have no fucking idea about how to do their job. Like plumbing is easy. Well, I shouldn't say easy because I don't want somebody to be watching this and be like, "You lying fuck." But it's like the grade of for plumbing is like pretty well established, and then like how to hook it up. I can power my way through it, but I'm not allowed to hook anything up electrically, and I don't know how to read my Uglies book that was provided to me. So the only group of people that I can never, call a liar was the electricians. And you're right, high-ranking people come up like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And you can just be there with your hands in the panel box, like, "Do you know what I'm doing?" Well, okay, then I guess I'll just get back to it.
Yeah, probably don't want to stand too close. Just saying.
So you spent some time overseas. Did you at least enjoy your time out of the country?
In some ways, I did. My first duty station was Iraq, and my next duty station was Africa. So where you're about to head, it's a wonderful place. Actually, though, I got to go. You're gonna love it there. I got to go to Uganda, which I absolutely loved. It was very fun. I got to go whitewater rafting on the Nile, so that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done.
Goddamn COVID.
So yeah, we were on a project, and oh, sorry, there's like lag.
Fine, go ahead.
This is one of those silent moments about. Anyways, we were on a project, and we had to get like permission from some tribal leaders or something to go in and set up the camp. And so we ended up being like stranded in a really nice hotel for like a month. So it was great, like right in the middle of our African deployment. So yeah, I had a really good time in Uganda.
There were some weird things that happen out there on the African side of the deployment, in which I've talked to people every now and again, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here are like photos of my dinner," and they're like 5-star level dinner. And I'm like, "You went out there to build a fucking well," and they're like, "Yeah, shit was late, so like this is what we did." And I'm like,
"Yeah, exactly, yeah."
I feel bad because I'm talking to my relief, like I said, who got February. he's like, I haven't been able to do anything because of Corona. And he said there's an outbreak now. So like we're NWO is kind of shut down. And I'm just like, there's so many things I'm going to come back and be able to say that I didn't do because of this fucking pandemic. And I'm going to talk to every other person who goes there as a CB, and they're all going to have 10 times better experience than me. And they're like, what did you do? Well, I got fucking massive because there was nothing else to do except drink protein.
But will they use the gym, do you think?
Apparently there's like 10 CrossFit gyms. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you were saying that, like on base?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a ton of gyms. Remember somebody was telling me you can, from whatever side of the facility I'm on, I can walk to everything. It's pretty well established, which I figured after this much time.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And but apparently there's just a ton of gyms to go to, and there's just always CrossFit, which is not my thing because I got the physical disabilities. But there's gonna be something for me to do one way or the other. Yeah. And if I can't leave the base, I better come back at least friggin' jacked.
Yeah, we're expecting it. When are you coming back? I'll mark it in my calendar and check your podcast around.
Plus or minus this time next year. So we'll see. We'll have you back on. Okay. If we don't have you on while I'm gone, we'll have you on in a year, and you can ridicule the lack of work I put in on myself in the next year.
We'll see.
So you did some time in. It obviously wasn't that great, which I really, really wish I missed the time in which it surprised me that it wasn't a good time for people to be in the military. I'm not overly happy, but for very, very extremely different reasons. Your situation being one of them. But you did Iraq, which apparently wasn't that fun because you didn't talk a whole lot about it. You did Africa, which was a little bit better, but clearly there were some issues between you and the uniform weren't going to work out. You came home, you got off active duty. What did you do between the time you got off active duty and where you are now?
So the way that I got out was like very traumatic for me. And so I tried to go back to school. I had the typical, PTSD. I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares every night, and so the VA put me on all these sleeping pills, and I just felt like I was getting sucked into every night. And so so the reason that I had problems with drinking was because I blacked out almost every time I drank, just no matter how much I had. And so when I got out of the I found stimulants, and I stopped blacking out. So I really felt like my life was saved, basically. And then I just got too heavy into like coke and other party drugs, and so I stopped going to school. And then I got hooked on meth. I was hooked on meth for like 5 years. And it was a challenging time, and it was really fun as well. Being on the med, I didn't have to sleep, and so my nightmares were gone. So just the self-medicate, trying to make. And then I ended up moving in with this guy. I was homeless for a while. I moved in with this guy. He ended up being really abusive, and it was really a blessing because I could have coasted on meth for a long time. But because he's so violent, I was like, you know what? I need to get sober. I can't keep doing this. And so he helped me pay for rehab, and I went to rehab, and for the first time in my whole life, I was actually happy without drugs. I went to an orthomolecular lab, so they dealt with putting you on high doses of vitamins because you really just kind of strip your body when you're using all these things all the time. And then, high stress strips out a lot of those feel-good hormones and things. So, I tried when I was in the military, and I just couldn't talk my way out of what I was dealing with. And so that was great for me to first heal my body and give my mind a break and de-stress. And then I came home. I went and lived at the VA I moved out of this guy's house, went and lived at the VA for like 6 months. And my VA therapist connected me with an out-in-town trauma therapist. And that like changed my life. I went maybe like 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. And we just went back to childhood and just started winding through everything. And, you know, as people in the military, it's very common to come from situations that weren't the best, which is why we get drawn to the military for some people. And we just developed this really great ability to kind of stuff down everything. And then eventually it just kind of eats you alive. So I spent all that time really just kind of unwinding all of those emotions, and so I could actually feel again. And that combination of getting sober so that my head was clear and then I could start dealing with the trauma for real, that like changed my whole life. And then I went back to school, and then shortly after that I found Merging Vets and Players.
That's so crazy because there are a lot of places in the States where for instance, my parents used to live in Bremerton, Washington, and the city council voted to put in 2 methadone clinics. And for a lot of people, it was a big deal. And for a smaller group of people, it was a much bigger deal. And I think that we are kind of becoming desensitized to what we do after the military. We talk a lot, we do the transition course and whatnot, and they're like, here's how you get linked up with the Department of Labor and in your resume and go get a job. And we say, oh yeah, by the way, if you need VA services, like, well, here's how we're going to get you connected. And we neglect to kind of really wrap our heads around like, hey, by the way, if people had a really fucking terrible time, alcohol might not be the only thing they're doing. And we're pretty desensitized to the kinds of things that our veterans are doing to cope. We all know personnel who have turned to alternative means to just kind of block out the things that, may have happened to them on active duty, and then it doesn't come up until much later, and you're like, oh crap, like that was a fucking problem. Like, no shit, I should have seen that a long ass time ago. It's fantastic though that you were able to stay at the VA and then had the wherewithal to be like, all right, this is clearly a problem that I need to get solved, which a lot of people don't do to the extent that you were able to succeed. A lot of people will, can get rid of 1 or 2 things. And they're like, no, I need like the one vice, regardless of whatever it is. That's a hell of a transition too, from active duty to living at the VA to getting linked up with Merging Vets and Players. Where did you meet somebody that got you linked up with MVP?
So when I was living at the VA, I kind of took this approach of that, like, I want to get better and I want to be happy, and I've never wanted to like struggle through life. I didn't want to white knuckle my sobriety. So I just, anything that was available to me, and there's a lot of programs at the VA that are available, I did all of them, and they weren't all helpful, but one led to another and another and another. And, so it was just this great network that I built. There was a fitness program that I started going to, and the coach of the fitness program actually invited me to like an outreach. It was a viewing of like 12 Strong or something that Merging Vets and Players was putting on. And so I went to that, and I was like, you know what, these guys are pretty cool. I think it was the next week, I was on spring break. So I was like, you know what, I can make it into the program. And like, I walked through the door and I just had this experience of like feeling like I was home. And one thing, we talk about the challenges when we get out of the military. And I think what the real challenge is that the people that join the military do really well in stressful environments. We thrive in chaos. And when you get out, it's all that like chaos is gone and you're left with yourself. And you just have to like sit there, and we don't know how to deal with not having a mission, not having an identity or a purpose. And so merging vets and players, they actually have become that team that I was always looking for. That team that actually does have my back. And like I could call them anytime with anything I have going on, and they would be there. And same thing, I would be there for them. And it's just been like this experience that I was always looking for. And totally changed my life. And I had already put in the really hard work to get to where I wanted to be, but because of merging vets and players, my life is so enjoyable. Like I wake up every day and I'm so happy about what I do. And it's just giving me this purpose again. And like I was going through pictures on our website today of working on a project, and I was like, I love these people so much. They make me so happy. And I love being part of that kind of team. It's been amazing for me.
Can you tell us a little? Sorry, go, Billy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have to say, I have, I've had a few friends that have, struggled with addiction, and all ex-military, and it's something that I want to say I'm proud of you for taking the steps to go. I need to get help, because honestly, as much as I've we've had other guests that have done what you've done, and it sucks when I had those friends and we tried to get them help, but it truly is, if you don't want to help yourself, nothing's going to help. So to hear you say that I have a problem, I need to fix this, is absolutely amazing and is literally inspiring. And it's awesome that you were able to have the courage, because it takes a lot of courage to go, fuck, I need to get help. This is not the way I want to live. And it's great that you took those steps to be where you're at today. And then to hear you say, I love the people I'm around, I love this organization. It's truly amazing. It really is. And if people haven't given you enough credit for that, you deserve all that credit, because it's very, very, very hard for people to find something that they love and to have that reaction with a company or an organization. So kudos to you. It's awesome what you've done so far.
Andi, can you tell us a little bit about what Merging Vets and Players does?
Yeah, so Merging Vets and Players is it's a nonprofit for combat veterans and former professional athletes. We realize that we all go through similar struggles with the transition, losing our identity, purpose, and most importantly, losing that team. And so we are nationwide. We have 6 chapters. We have one in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, and we just opened Seattle. And then so COVID has actually been great for us because we pivoted to Zoom. And then that gave us the ability to reach people all over the country. So before, if you weren't in LA or in those, places, it was like, oh, I wish I could help you, but I can't. And so now we're slowly going back in person, and we're keeping the Zoom component because it's been just so impactful, and it's allowed us to reach all these people. And for veterans who struggle getting out of their homes, they can, start on Zoom, and then we can slowly bring them in the door. So each location has one program a week. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please continue.
Okay. Each location has one program a week. We started out by a 30-minute moderate intensity workout just to kind of get that burn again. And I think that's one thing. The VA has all these great programs and stuff, but you're kind of going in and you don't know these people. It's kind of uncomfortable. So the fitness aspect is a great way to just release those feel-good endorphins and also connect with those around you. And when you're going through a hard workout together, it's just, you connect, and it's easier to talk about whatever else is going on. So we do the workout, then we have a huddle, which is like an hour and a half. And we really just talk about whatever is going on in our lives. The good, the bad, everything in between. And people get really deep because we build such close bonds. And, people have shared things in there. They said, like, I was going to take this to my grave. And we've really, I can speak for myself personally, is I've gotten to the place in my life where like it hurts more to keep something in that I know that I need to share, where before I would never tell anyone anything. And that hurt me. And so now if something's going on, like this is my team, I share it with them, and they help me through it. And just having a place to say things, is really important. And just knowing that we're all going through this struggle and we're in, different levels of it. And we in the military, you're broken down as an individual and you're built up as a team, so I don't really think anyone who is former military or professional athlete functions very well by themselves anymore. Like, you just have been broken down so much that you don't. And so when you have this community, then you can do like whatever it is you're meant to do in life.
You're right. We spend a lot of time training people to do things the exact same way, and a lot of personnel struggle with realizing why that is. And it's the unfortunate reality is if one person goes down, I need somebody to take over who I know is going to do it the exact same way. Which, this is just my own personal observation, of course, is a little bit easier if you're in combat. The objective is to put bullets and rounds downrange, pulling the trigger, pointing the barrel in the right direction. Andi, for you and I in the Seabees, it's extremely important that we all do it the same way, because if you wire up one panel one way and somebody else wires it up differently, there's a potential hazard there. If I frame a wall one way or build a deck one way and somebody else does it differently, it might not be to code. And you're right. We spend a lot of time putting people into these team molds, and then after the military or after you're done with your, being a professional athlete, it's all right. Well, what am I supposed to do as an individual now? We didn't prepare to be individuals. We spent a lot of time working on that team mentality, and it sounds like you guys have a lot of peer-to-peer level therapy, personnel who should understand things that you're going through that they can relate to, that makes it a lot easier and you're much more comfortable sharing with. And you've been there for a few years now, about 3 years. Would you say that, actually, I don't know, not would you say, but just as a curiosity, do professional athletes, when they transition out of the spotlight and out of the team environment and they start dealing with just themselves, do they go through similar transitions and withdrawals and decision-making processes that prior military personnel go through?
Yes, and that's why emerging vets and players work so well. It's actually amazing, the similarities. A lot of athletes also come from underprivileged backgrounds or situations they're trying to escape, which is why they join sport. So we can have similar childhood things that we're bringing with us. And then we're used to operating at this like elite level. And when you get out, it's that purpose, that identity, and that team that you've lost. It's crazy. It's crazy to just be in the circle and you'll be going through something and someone else will be going through, athlete, veteran. It's crazy. And one thing that I love about merging vets and players is I think as veterans, sometimes we can get too entrenched in the veteran community to our detriment, because ideally we should be able to assimilate back into the civilian life. And so this gives us this great opportunity of interacting with all of these different people, and it takes away that idea of civilians won't get me, and it really breaks it back down to okay, we're all humans, and that's another really cool aspect of the program.
That's awesome. Do you at MVP, how do you decide, what's the best way to ask this? So presumably you have to apply if you're in one of the 6 physical locations that MVP is running. How do you guys decide who? Is it a one-on-one kind of thing? Is it a group-to-group situation at each workout?
Okay, I don't quite understand your question.
When you're running the workouts at your location in LA, presumably people have to apply and they get accepted. then they come and work out? Is it whoever shows up that day? Is it a 1-to-1 kind of ratio? And because presumably
with veterans and athletes.
Yes.
Yes. So we have definitely more veterans than athletes. And that's something that we're working really hard because there's also a lot of stigma with athletes. I think veterans are further along in the process of being okay with sharing our stories. And part of it, I think, is because of the disability process. Like, we have to go through all of that. And so we can be like, hey, I'm fucked up, you know, where for athletes, they're not quite there. Obviously not everyone, but it's more of a stigma, like, you know, they've been at this elite level and they're everybody's heroes, so they can't have issues, you know, and then the sport, like, you can't show any weakness or you might not get played that week. So we're doing a lot of work to help break those stigmas as well. So yeah, right now we have definitely more veterans, and we're going to do some work around outreach this year to really target the athlete population.
Damn, that's pretty fucking cool. Do you start in LA? You have 6 locations now. Do you have like teams or representatives at each location? And do you have like, is there like a, do you have a building? Is it an office? Is it a gym? Where do you have 6 locations? What are they?
So we partner with gyms. And then we run our programs through the gyms, and obviously COVID has, you know, made everything different. Like I said, during COVID, we went like solely on Zoom. So that was very interesting. And now we're slowly transitioning back to in-person. And like I said, you don't have to live in the physical location. You can live anywhere. We have the country broken up by regions. So,
wow.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. And like I said, we're, you know, I don't think this has really been done before, where this hybrid model of we have in person and then we also have Zoom going on at the same time. So it's been really cool. So if you're anywhere in the country or even outside of the country, you can get on one of these Zooms and have, you know, the same experience. And it's just been really cool for us.
That sounds fantastic. That's amazing. I would have never have considered, because I watch, I prefer football, but pretty much if Seattle has a team, I'm going to be a fan of it. But you're right. I never really thought about, like, once a player is done playing, what happens after them, because the team is constantly rotating, and it's not like if somebody in my unit retires, I have to get my dress uniform set up, get my medals put together. I go spend a whole day, and it's very prevalent in the front of my mind. But when somebody on my team either gets transferred, it's, you know, like, you're kind of like, all right, well, they're not on my team anymore, so I'm not worrying about them. Or if they do retire from your team, then okay, you talk about it for a little bit, and then it's pretty much come and gone. You don't really think about the transition that person might have to go through.
Yeah,
like you said, they're not at practice, they're not with their team, they're not people that they've known for potentially 20 and 30 years of their career. Yeah, Seattle, absolutely.
Yeah. Actually,
go Seahawks, man.
Our first Seattle session will be Wednesday, so brand new.
Wednesday. All right, well, all right. I guess I don't have shit fucking else to do, so I guess I might have to reevaluate what time I want to wake up on Wednesday. I'm 3 hours ahead.
Same thing you said, Hugh. I never really thought about it is unless they're a high profile player, like someone like, I'm a big New York Giants fan, so I look at someone that retired, like Michael Strahan. It seems to his retirement from the game of football went super smooth because look where he is now. But then if you have another player, I couldn't imagine just being, a committed team member, and then same thing. And it's kind of, I don't even have the words for it. I feel for these guys, especially when, like you said, Andy, these guys and these players have to put 110% effort into what they do every day, or they'll sit next week. With the military, you kind of as long as you show up in your uniform and you do your bare minimum, you're good to go. But with those players, if they're not 110% into that game or that practice, the coach will just be like, well, you're not fucking playing this week. Sorry for you. So, yeah, I can only imagine what they go through. That's got to be tough, a tough transition, especially if it's someone who comes from a prevalent sports area for whatever sport they're playing. Like, let's just stick with football. Like maybe they're from Texas and they've been playing football since they were 5, made it all the way up to the pros. And then it was just like, they were a good player to be on the team, but they weren't like on ESPN every week, like Tom Brady or
Billy,
other players. And then they just retired.
Billy, you remember a couple of years ago, we were talking about, the teams and the owners need to be taking better consideration of their players' injuries. And, we're like, oh, we're going to start paying better attention. We're going to take better care of you. And then Andrew Luck retired and they just shit all over him like left and right. It was like, oh, hold the fucking phone. Like he said, you just said last fucking week, we need to do better. And then the media appearance was like, oh man, he like quit early and whatnot. Like, no, like you can only get rocked in the head so many times. If you're EOD, you can only take so many blasts in a vehicle. As CBs, I can only walk on the wall and then fall onto the gravel so many times before somebody's going to be like, yeah, no, you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? It's eventually it becomes not your call because you're trying to power through, and just be like, all right, like I got to go, or it's time. Either way, those are both big realizations. And man, it's still crazy to me to think like. And I had never considered the type of transition that I go through being so similar as far as the coping mechanisms are concerned. A lot, I don't want to say a lot because I don't actually know, but the athletes that are in the limelight and are very prevalent on TV and social media usually transition very easily, but they probably not the case for all of them. And let me ask you,
even the ones I was going to say, and even the ones that transition well, if they don't find that new team, so like if they don't go into sports broadcasting or something where they still feel like part of that team, they may be doing very well but still struggling because like they miss their people. They're doing it all themselves. And that's what I say about merging vets and players is like making it in life. I would have my degree, but I wouldn't be having so much fun if I wasn't vets and players. I wouldn't love my life. I would be struggling, putting my head down, just going day to day. And you know what? That's no way to live. So it's been really cool for me.
Do you let me ask you, would you, when MVP first got started, would you say you had a harder time recruiting athletes or military?
So I wasn't around when it first started, and I think it was mostly military when it first started. And don't quote me on that, but one of our founders, so Jay Glazer, he works with a lot of football players. So actually it originally started with only football players, and then we expanded it to former professional athletes. So yeah, it was 2 years. 2 years before I came on board, and I think it was small, and I think it was mostly veterans from one of the homeless shelters in the area.
Well, I hadn't even considered the situation for the people who might be reaching out for help. We've talked a few times about helping homeless veterans, but I guess it's one of the another problem with when you think about a group, you think about whatever the majority is doing, and at least as far as I'm concerned, and my impression is that when you get out of the military, you just transition to civilian life and you have a home and a family or whatever. And the the homeless veteran population probably just doesn't get spoken about enough. Man, I'd be really interested to find out like the general dynamics of veterans that you have and professional athletes, i.e. what sport they're coming from. And then as far as the veterans are concerned, like homeless to non-homeless, which branch and what style of work that they did. Because I'm inclined to think that for a while you used to say like none of the special forces guys were ever going to talk about anything. Nobody who ever was in combat was going to talk about anything. But I think that's less true nowadays than it was 5 to 10 years ago. And I'd be very interested to find out the wide range of personnel you have involved as far as the professional athletes in the military are concerned. Do you know if it's pretty diverse on your end?
Yeah, it is pretty diverse. And one thing that's really cool is this is where the peer-to-peer aspect comes in, is because you have people all over that spectrum. And I was homeless when, and then we have people that are coming in that are homeless. And so we have this huge range of people, and they're like, I've been there. I can help you. I know what you're going through. This is what worked for me. We've had people this last year who, they've had, children, and their children have had medical issues, and we've had multiple people walking this walk together. We have people whose mothers are dying, and there's somebody right there that's going through the same thing or went through it 10 years ago. And it's just this, it's so beautiful because it's human beings reaching out to be like, I've been there, I've got you, and it's not going to be like this forever. So
that's pretty awesome.
It's incredible to be in puddles.
That's pretty awesome because you're not talking about people who came from the same background in the same community. You're talking about two personnel who made drastically different life choices and are still able to connect on a human level over what the issue was for them and be able to solve those problems together regardless of whatever their background is. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
And the military and athlete, it's not so drastically different because we're both going into organizations that lay out your life for you, and they hand you everything, and you just kind of go on this path. And whether you're an athlete or a veteran, and often you'll be on this path for a while. And a lot of veterans join when they're young, an athlete super young, and maybe you've never done anything else besides be doing this really risky shit and putting your life on the line, putting your health on the line all of the time, and not really caring. Just this mentality of fuck it, if I die it happens, if I blow out my knee, all right, well, we're still gonna do this. So yeah, it's just fascinating, the similarities between just the whole process and then the transition. And yeah, it's really cool.
It is crazy to think how similar the absolute bare bones of each organization is. Like you said, the life is laid out for you. Your tasking is laid out for you. The goals and objectives are laid out for you. The team is provided for you, and the training is provided for you. It's kind of surprised nobody thought about doing it earlier. Yeah. You're like, here's what you're gonna wear. Here's where you're gonna eat. Here's where you'll be, and when you'll be there. And here's who's showing up today. And here's the established. This is the establishment we've provided for you. It's crazy. I'm surprised nobody thought about doing this earlier. But like you said, COVID provided you a new platform of conducting things last year. And and I've said this multiple times before. As time goes on, we're going to be provided, and we're going to be able to realize newer and newer opportunities that we didn't have 5 to 10 years ago. And here we are with Merging Vets and Players, which is clearly capitalized on. Hey, at the absolute bottom line, end of the day, these organizations have very similar structures, and there's a potential that they have very difficult back ends. We need to get them together. That's fantastic.
And we're each other's heroes. So
that's true.
That adds a lot to it as well.
You're right. I have legitimately delayed morning briefings because when I was in Afghanistan a couple years ago, I was fortunate enough to be deployed during the football season. And they would come like, all right, we have muster. I'm like, I don't give a shit what you have. The Hawks game isn't over for another 5 minutes, so you can wait. I'm like, well, no, we have morning muster. Like, I don't care. I don't care. The game started at 3 a.m. Muster doesn't start till 7. What do you want me to do? I'm not leaving. Well,
I can see you saying that, and then looking at everyone and going, "Get your fucking priorities straight, people."
I have like we have muster. I'm like, you say the same shit every fucking day. Why isn't this an email yet? Also, what's up with the suicide briefing? 78 CBs all sitting in the same fucking room, one stray rocket, and we're all Audi 5000. Can't we just like pass it on to the fucking team leads and be out the door? Jesus fucking Christ! I just need what? Oh no, he got intercepted. Never mind. Turn this off. We can do Buster now. I'm sorry. Well, Andy, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate you taking the time out. I'm sure you have beautiful weather out there. Unlike Billy and I, it's dark now.
We do.
Jesus Christ.
So sunny.
Nobody needs that kind of
So
negativity
sunny and
over
beautiful.
here.
That's why we pay the taxes.
It's fantastic. Andy, thank you so much again for being here. It's been phenomenal talking with you about Emerging Vets and Players, a phenomenal organization. At the very least, we're going to have you back next year when I get home, so you can ridicule the lack of work I've done. But we hope to have you on here once the world opens back up more. We're very excited to see where Emerging Vets and Players goes within the next 6 months to a year, opportunity season, whatnot. And thank you very much, and thank you for your time, of course, in uniform.
And Andy, stick around. Stick around.
Okay.
After, and we'll chat a little bit more.
Okay. Perfect.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, guys.
There's some ideas that like you don't realize.
Yeah.
Are like, oh man, this makes total sense. Why didn't we do this earlier? And there's a lot of discussion back and forth, left and right about. Well, obviously, last year we had a lot of trouble. With the coronavirus, and there was a lot of different, racial issues going on, which I think provided a lot of divide, but I think at the same time provided a lot of opportunity. There, before however many years ago, you would never have thought, oh, let's get military service members and sports athletes, professional athletes, Jesus fucking Christ, professional athletes together to say, oh man, turns out you have very similar lifestyles and similar transitions. You know what I mean? There's just these. Hats off to the people that see these opportunities of helping more than just themselves and saying, well, there's a similarity here and we can help more than just this niche of people.
No, and you're absolutely right. And, a lot of those, especially with football and these high impact sports, especially football players, a lot of the injuries that they sustain during the games, correlate to combat veterans. And what I'm really curious is to find out, Andy, there's so many topics that we were just talking about that I just didn't think of, it just doesn't come to my mind because I never realized the similarities between the two. But I'm also very curious to see how many players, pro athletes across all sports served in the military. That's something that I'm really curious about, to see how many transition. You have the ones, the high profile ones that are out there, or the ones that do talk about it, but the ones that don't, those players that are like, maybe they went to the academy, or they played ball.
There's a decent number of personnel that went to service academies and then went pro after their time at the academy. But
a lot of that is
who gave up athletics to go military and vice versa.
There's big profile players, and I'll go way back. NBA players like David Robinson and stuff like that. Academy personnel. But I'm really curious to see across all sports: hockey, baseball, any other sports, tennis, golf, whatever it be, to see how many people served that played professional sports. It's really an interesting subject, and I'm going to dig into it a little bit more, and it's something that's going to interest me because I'm a sports nut and a Mets fan, Hugh, to make that very fucking,
I don't know, man.
Piece of
I'm pretty
shit.
sure I bought you a card this year. I'm pretty sure I bought you a card this year that said "Go Jets."
I will fucking light that on fire and throw it directly at you. That is disrespectful. But no, Hugh. So the quarantine, man. I hope you don't lose your mind on this other
fucking terrible, man.
On this other quarantine.
Nice.
But no, I'm excited for your deployment to be over. already, dude.
I'm looking forward to doing a couple shows in Africa. I'm going to do my best to get something set up. I'm very excited to meet, again, being a reservist, there are people from all walks of life, and I know there are going to be other reservists out there and people worth talking to. So I'm really excited to run into the people who, this amalgamous melting pot of personnel that are not full-time military, and talking to them. So it's going to be an interesting year for sure. Thankfully, I had 3 more shows here, and then we're going to do a couple other, in transit shows, but it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun either way.
Yeah, I was thinking of while you're over there, if you have the capabilities, even if you like bring your phone, I don't know how that, obviously you're not going to be able to like go signal, but if there's any way, I'm thinking it might be kind of cool, and we could plug this in to some of the episodes and do like a monthly update. Just put your phone in front of you and record it, and just be like, "Hey guys, it's month 9." It's fucking losing my mind. But I think that'd be pretty cool for everyone to, we'll try to do something like that. But definitely having you live while you're over there is going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be, I want to say, and I'm gonna research a little more, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're gonna be the first podcast to go live with someone in country on deployment.
We'll see.
I gotta do that research.
I gotta ask the questions and whatnot, and get the paper. I'm sure there's some paperwork involved, but we'll see for sure.
Yeah, but I think it'd be pretty cool. But
for those of you watching and listening tonight, please. Thank you for joining us. Also, go check out Merging Vets and Players. Also, make sure you like and follow our Facebook and Instagram. Also, MVP's Instagram as well. And check out some of the other episodes, see if you like it. Billy monitors email if you have any requests or you want to tell him that he's a terrible producer. Obviously, you have no problems with me. I'm a delight. One way or the other. Every day. Billy, I'll see you back here next Monday, brother.
All right, and thank you everyone for watching, and also go out and check out our libertyriskpodcast.com. Our webpage is getting revamped, but we will have everything updated on there, and we are still, as usual, working on a merchandise line. So that will be whenever the fuck it happens. I'm tired of getting questions about it, and we'll let you all know. See you guys next Monday.
All right, guys. Bye.